Yeah.
Now, there comes a time in every graphic animation where you have to look at what you've created and decide, am I finished? And does this solve the problem? And if we look at the graphic we've created here, let's consider that we're creating a graphic bumper. And its design is to go from full screen video to graphic element to tease what's coming up in the next video, and then our job is done because this is going to be edited with a show, and then there'll be other video on the other side of this. So in looking at this, I'm realizing there are several things that I personally would like to do to make adjustments to this graphic. But based on what I've already shown you and taught you earlier in this chapter, there aren't any new techniques in terms of sliding things around and making elements appear or disappear any more quickly. It's all just a matter of personal taste. So what I'm going to do is take you through one or two of the adjustments that I'll make, and then I encourage you to practice the skills that we've learned in this chapter and try and make some of your own adjustments. Now, just so you have it for reference, those of you who have access to the exercise files, I'll save a finished version of this project off so you can look at it and see some of the changes that I've made. This is also going to be an important step in your learning process because just following me is one thing, but understanding what you're doing as you're doing it is a completely different thing. So I'm sure we all know that. So let's go ahead and get started here. I'm going to click and drag with my current time indicator through the project. And I'm looking at this large section of graphic and realizing there really isn't much going on in this scene. So what I would do is build the animation of these different layers into the project. Now, as I'm looking at the layers in the timeline, I'm just scrolling up and down with my mouse wheel. I can see my layer numbers go from 5 to 13. That's a giveaway that I have some layers hidden with the shy button. And sure enough, if we go look at the shy button in the top of my timeline, it's enabled. Let's disable that. Now, if we scroll down, you can see I have layer 12 through 6, and these are the elements that make up this scene. Now, what I'll do is just animate one of these plus layers. Since I want these elements to build into the scene one after another, what I'm going to do is press the U key so I can see any animated parameters for that individual layer. Now for this layer, the opacity faded in at the start. I would like this to be one of the last elements to fade into the scene. So I'm going to click and draw a lasso around just these two keyframes so I can start the fade later on that layer. I'm going to click on the first keyframe and drag it to the right. Let's say we don't want it to fade in until about 3 seconds, because we have several layers here. So we could stagger this for each layer. All right, now since I've moved the start of the opacity, let's go ahead and trim the endpoint of that layer just by clicking and dragging on the left side. Just make sure you don't drag it past this first keyframe. So let's go ahead and leave it roughly around here. To navigate between keyframes, I can just click on this arrow here, and just to trim this layer precisely, I'm going to hold down the Option key and press the left bracket. The bracket keys are next to the letter P. So Option on the Mac, Alt on the PC. So with the current time indicator at the start of the layer, let's collapse the layer properties by clicking the arrow and then click it one more time to open all the different transform options. Now I want to add a slight scale to this one layer. So I'm going to click the stopwatch next to scale to add a keyframe. Now to move to the end of the timeline, we can use our key command O. O will jump you to the out point of whatever layer that you're currently working on. So now let's change the scale parameter up. I'm going to click on the X value for the scale parameter and change it to 125. Now when I press enter on the keyboard, I've added a second keyframe. To see how this looks, I'll go ahead and move my current time indicator to the start of that layer. In the preview panel, I'll make sure from current time is selected and then click the preview button. This will give me a preview as to how that layer is moving. And notice just by adding that slight scale move, I've already started adding a different sense of depth to the scene. So I'm going to press the space bar and just stop playback here, because this is the point where I encourage you to go back through the project and analyze what we're dealing with. Definitely get comfortable creating some more keyframes and sliding your layers all around the timeline. Have fun with it, adjust the timing, and just remember, you're not finished until you say so.